Hi, this is Kyle Wagner. In our coaching certification process, what I'd like to do is I'd like to put up a couple practice plans that could be beneficial to you and your team. A couple assumptions we're going to make here. This is not basic baseball practice. These are not the boys that some can catch and some can't, and basic, we're just learning the game kind of thing. These are for travel baseball teams where the whole team has an understanding of baseball. They can all catch it. They can all throw it. What they need is they need more. They need to understand some of the basic tenets of baseball and some of the maybe higher order thinking that goes into baseball. So without further ado, a practice should begin with a moving warm-up. And we like to dedicate about 10 minutes to that. A moving warm-up, classic moving warm-up, is just athletic kind of things where you can test athleticism. So maybe we have a line forming to the right of a coach, and the coach throws balls up over the right shoulder, over the left shoulder, or maybe even unpredictable, so they have to find the ball in space. And then they have an assistant coach bring them back. And you can spread them out, but boys generally like to do that. They like to catch balls. They like to catch pop-ups. So we're going to test athleticism that way. And then afterwards, we're going to play catch. So the first 10 minutes is a moving warm-up. And then we're going to play catch. And so many times playing catch actually gets neglected. When you play catch, you want to try and be position specific. If you have two catchers that can partner up and play catch, they should. And they should work on speed releases, where they're trying to get the ball out of their glove and get it in their chest as quickly as possible. They may even want to back up to their normal distance from home plate to second base and use some imagination and put the ball in their glove and come up and throw some runners out. Those are definitely specific things that catchers need to work on. Maybe your pitchers want to work on certain pitches at this time. They want to partner up and they want to throw some changeups or some curveballs or some sliders. And then maybe you have middle infielders that want to work on position-specific things. Maybe they want to work on a couple flips when they're done. But this is the time, this first 10 minutes is the time to be position-specific as you play catch. Okay? All right. The other thing that we want to do about a practice is we want to make sure we have good closure, that when we break, we're being productive and we feel like it was a good workout. So the last 5 minutes. This is a 1 hour and a half practice. The last 5 minutes, 125 to 130. What we're going to do is we're going to do some base running. Base running reads. A couple of the ones that I like. Baseball is not an endurance game. Let's not trick ourselves here. It's not soccer, it's not basketball, it's not football. We don't make long runs and try to stay on the field for a long amount of time. We explode out of the box, we get to first base, and we rest. We're in the outfield, we sprint, we catch the ball, we throw it back in, we go and we stand and we rest. So, the only position that really needs to make sure that they're running and they've got their legs and they're in shape is really the pitcher. So I don't dedicate a lot of time to being in shape. This last 5 minutes is more about making solid, sound base running decisions. So here are some ways that I would like to close a practice. Maybe I put all my runners at second base and I've got a fungo hitter here. And maybe I have a shortstop. It could be a dad. It could be a coach. Maybe I have a second baseman, a first baseman, and a third baseman. If you don't want a second baseman, that's fine. But you generally need these three positions. And then what I do is I do less than 2 outs ground balls. And occasionally I'll hit a fly ball. And this is all based upon them making good decisions. When can they go to third base? When can they not go to third base? And we talk about this in the certification part 2. But so I'm getting a little running in, but more importantly, it's about good base running decisions. Can they make the ball go behind them? Are they going to break if the throw goes to first base? Maybe one day, rather than doing just second base, less than 2 outs reads, Maybe I finish it up with second and third base, infield in baseball, where this guy breaks and this guy goes, and then we have some rundowns to finish up. Maybe on one particular day, I put runners at first base, and there's my fungo hitter, and I have a center fielder, a shortstop, and a third baseman, second baseman if it applies. And I fungo balls to him and have them go to third base. And again, we're teaching, if there's one out, it's go time. If it's 0 or 2 outs, we're less aggressive. But these last 5 minutes, and it can extend a little bit beyond 5 minutes. It could go up to 8 or 10 minutes. It can even start a little earlier if you want. It can be 10 minutes. We're just going to do some solid base running reads. In fact, I'm going to leave it at 10 minutes. Okay, so a great way to close practice with some solid base running fundamentals. Now, I believe in most practices you have to hit. And if you just want to hit, if that's all you want to do, then you can do that in a cage. You can throw it. But so many times we find benefit from the ball being in flight. So I'm going to dedicate from 50 to 120. I'm going to dedicate this to batting practice. And we got a whole bunch of different options here how we can attend to batting practice. One of the ways to do it is you could say you just say maybe the 5th one is live, or the 3rd one is live, or the 2nd one is live. In this way, you might only have 3 batters in. They get the first 4 throws, they just get to hit, and then the 5th one you play live as a defense. I really like this because it keeps the defense on their toes, especially for younger players. And then maybe they get 3 rounds, those 3 hitters. In the first round, the 5th one's live. In the second round, the 3rd one's live. In the last round, the 2nd one's live. So as they hit that live ball, they take off, and the runners stay on base, and the defense tries to make outs accordingly. An opportunity to get your swings in and yet play some defense behind them. Another way is you literally set up base runners as you hit. And this has to be done in group settings. You have one group hit, maybe 3 per group, maybe 4 per group, depending on your size. You have one group hit. You have one group at third base making base running reads. And then you have the other group out shagging. And again, depending on the size of your team, you could have groups at second base, you could have groups at third base, you could have groups shagging. But in this manner, batting practice, you're making live reads off the batted ball. Okay. You could also, if you can protect your guys, and that's a big if you can protect your guys, if you have protective screens, you could have a group hitting, and then you could have a group maybe taking fungos from a coach, where they stand behind a protective screen and you hit some ground balls, and then maybe they're making some throws in that regard. I know this is what they do at higher level baseball, but higher level baseball has those big protective screens. And certainly we don't want to get anyone hurt during batting practice, but if you could somehow create some fungos and some ground balls during batting practice, it definitely can be productive use of your time. Me, I prefer the first two. I prefer 5th one live, 3rd one live, 2nd one live, and we play it defensively. I also really enjoy, if I'm trying to teach base running, I really enjoy the batting practice, but you've got to have a dedicated coach working with the base runners. And a lot of times it speaks volumes when the head coach is that guy, when he's the one focused on the base running and someone else is throwing batting practice. Okay? So we did our moving warm-up to start, and I took care of how we're going to close. You got to make sure there's times for drinks. So this portion right here, when our guys are in taking batting practice, of course, let them have as many drinks as they need at that time. All right, let's go back to the beginning. What do I like to do after a moving warm-up? I like to do what I call fungos and flies. And in this situation, you can be as specific as you want to be, but it might be nice if you had, depending on your team, I mean, at some teams, players are identified and they become solely outfielders, and if they're solely outfielders, then you need a guy that's just taking guys out and hitting them fly balls. Some teams, everyone has a position in the infield, whether it be a primary position or a secondary position. And if that's the case, one of the things I like to do with our fungos is you like to have 3 fungo hitters and three catchers of the ball. And this is the way it works. The first rotation would be something, we got to know your positions. So the first rotation might be 6 to 3, 4 to 6. You put a coach on second base and he literally just catches the ball. Shortstops, the ground ball to shortstop goes to first base. The ground ball to second base flips to a dad standing on the bag. And the third baseman, all balls go in. You hit the ball to the third baseman and they go into their fungo hitter. And you do that for a little bit. And then you switch it up. After you do 6-3, 4-6, 5 in, then maybe you do 5-3, 4 in, 6-4, where 5 goes to first, third baseman throws it across, the second baseman throws it in, and the shortstop flips it to second base. And after you rep that, then you go 5-4, 6 in, 4-3. Look, all you're trying to do here is trying to get the third baseman, the shortstop, and the second baseman all to throw the ball to first base. You're trying to get the third baseman, the shortstop, and the second baseman all to make a feed to second base to start the double play. And then the third rotation is they throw it into the fungo hitter. A lot of ground balls in a short amount of time. Very, very productive time. Again, I only really like this is if I have enough players to make it viable. You know, if there's not enough depth to give guys breaks, a lot of times it can be just too much. And generally the case is if there are position-specific players, if there are outfielders only, this might be difficult. But a great use of time right there. The other option is just fungos and flies. Just hit some ground balls, get them some reps while you hit some fly balls. Okay? All right, and then we've got a 25-minute block here to teach something baseball specific. So for this 25 to 50, I want to teach something very, very baseball specific. And let's go over a couple things that it might be. Maybe on one day we're going to teach an inside move. You know, if runners are taking leads and we got to teach our pitchers to do an inside move, and sometimes that's rundowns that go with it. Maybe on a certain time we do relays and cuts. Maybe we do first and second bunt defense. Maybe we do first and third offense. You know, but every practice should involve a teaching element at some point. You know, I know the kids like to hit. I know they like to take fungos and they like to take fly balls. But early in the practice, definitely before batting practice, because when a kid hits, many times in his mind he's like, great, I did what I wanted to do today. They all want to hit. Hitting is a lot of fun. So we're going to teach before they hit. And this 25 minutes that we use here is really the most important part of practice. And how we're going to teach it. Obviously empowering your assistant coaches and let them focus on certain positions and certain aspects of it. But I really believe this is a solid practice plan for an hour and a half. Obviously, a lot of teams go to 2 hours. And really, you've got enough here for 2 hours. You would just need to spread it out a little bit. But so much to teach. And this right after fungos and flies and right after those athletic reps, maybe they go and get a drink for sure. And then they come back out and we're teaching them something baseball related. There's a practice plan that would be very beneficial to your team.